think we're live. This is exciting. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa McCue-McGrath. I am the host of the BewilderBeast podcast, and we are here to help Dr. One Pagan bring out his awesome book. I actually have it right here, Flies and Stoned Dolphins, to the world. It's live, just like we are now, and we're not nervous at all. I'm used to doing podcasting, so I'm not used to seeing faces. So this is a whole new experience for me personally, but I'm very, very excited. And One here has his book, Drunk Flies and Stoned Dolphins, and we're going to be talking about it today. So I'm going to let One introduce himself and talk a little bit about why we're here, and then we're going to get into this really fun conversation where we're going to have prizes and talk about his book. One.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and thank you all of us for being here. It is funny because off camera, quote unquote, before this we began, I was telling them that I'm nervous as heck, and I don't really know why, because I teach rooms full of 200, 300 students, but let's just have fun. Let's just have fun.
Oh, we're gonna have fun.
Yes,
and as I was also telling
One
here at the beginning, is that we are taking this. Yes, this is his book launch. This is something that is very exciting, and he put a ton of work into this. But we also want to address this as friends and to kind of take a more casual approach. So we've got some business attire up top, and I've got some fuzzy PJ bottoms down below. So we got some Snoopy action going on. We just want to sit back, and there's nothing that says this is a casual, fun conversation more than steampunk earrings and fuzzy pajama bottoms. So, so we got this.
Okay, and I can promise that I'm wearing pants right here. Okay, so I promise all of you. So, but more. Oh my God, I'm so happy about this, and again, thank you, Melissa. I want to give a big shout out, of course, to Melissa, and very especially to Sofia Martinez Villalpando. She's our Jedi Master in electronics. She's also a biologist, and she's an excellent vlogger with a V as in Victor. We will talk about her soon enough. So, but I want to thank some other people that are integral to my life. People that without you, this wouldn't be possible. Lisa, the one and only Mrs. Ball Scientist, and my children, Vanessa, Reynaldo, and Andy, in order of appearance, okay, in the world. Thank you for your love. Thank you for making me a better man, a better dad. And well, this is for you. So I'm telling you. I also want to thank the good people at Ben Bella, beginning with the big boss, Glenn, and Jennifer, Adrienne, and very especially to my editors, Laurel and Alexa. Without them, the book would be gibberish. Trust me. Children, listen to your editors. They know what they're doing. Okay, so that's a big shout out to them. Also, from the bottom of my heart, and I see one of them here, right here in the chat. I want to thank my endorsers, Dr. Marie McNeely of the People Behind of Science podcast, Mr. Peter Codron, Mr. Micah Hanks, Dr. Justin Gregg, Mr. Matthew LaPlante, and very especially our very own Sofia Martinez Villalpando, who also wrote an endorsement of the book. Finally, before we kick the formalities here, I want to thank my university, Westchester University, and very especially my Department of Biology. You see, as fun as this is part of my job, okay? My job is to be a science communicator at heart. I teach students. I teach undergraduates, graduate students. I teach students in my own laboratory, okay? And by doing things like this, I'm teaching the public at large about science, which I love. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd at heart. And I want to talk about science, particularly biology, to anybody within earshot. So, thank you.
I'm so glad you're here and that we get to talk about this book. I personally was into this book the second I saw a picture of it on Twitter. I think we have a mutual friends, the Just the Zoo of Us podcast, and I think she liked it. And I was like, stop everything. This Venn
Ellen and
diagram of
Kristen.
all the
Yeah,
things. It's the title was great. The content was great. So sometimes you get a title and then in this
thank
case,
you.
like I was wrapped from the beginning to the end. Um, I I think that it's going to be important for those who might not know what your research is in. And you have one of those little buddies there in the back. It's a little flatworm.
Yeah,
Could you talk a little bit about your research and maybe your special take on this research that kind of led you into this book?
absolutely. Well, I'm a pharmacologist by training. I was formally trained in biochemistry and pharmacology. I never took a zoology course in my life. That's the first anomaly right there. One of these days, I'm telling you the whole story, but the point is that when I began working at Westchester University, I chose flatworms as my animal model to do pharmacology, biochemistry, and behavior, essentially, because I work a lot on neurobiology as well, the brain, nervous system, things like that. So, in that sense, I really want to give a big shout out to my laboratory students, past and present, and the current group. It's several very talented undergraduate and graduate students, which include, excuse me, Kimber, Maggie, Bree, Ben, Kaylin, Max, Taylor, Wura, Jessica, and Miguel. Okay, so
Oh my
uh,
gosh.
I feel like in these old radio stations, I want to say hello to mom, dad.
Aw.
That's how I feel. So the reason why I'm saying hi to all my students in the lab is that without them, research would just not be possible for me. Okay, and I'm very grateful for that. The point is that I do pharmacology of abused drugs of abuse, no, abused drugs actually, and I use planarians. For example, the type of planarians that I use in my research are the tiny freshwater worms. They will be about a centimeter long. For reference, it would be about the length of a typical fingernail, something like that.
Wait, just the nail?
Just the nail. That's the worms I work with.
Uh,
I was gonna
Wow.
say I was gonna say my worms, but that sounds bad. But you know, and uh, in wide-wise, as it were, they are about a millimeter wide, which is about the width of a fingernail.
Huh.
And yet, those tiny animals have a fully sophisticated nervous system, including a brain, which has many of the neurotransmitters that we do, many of the behaviors that we have, including the capacity to be affected by abused drugs. For example, you put nicotine in the water, right? And leave nicotine there for a while. You take the nicotine away, the worms go crazy. They start swimming like corkscrewing. They start like a cobra looking for something
As
really
if they
weird.
were coming off of an addiction or seeking out
Exactly.
the drug.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, it's now it's a well-established model of addiction, which is atypical because most addiction laboratories they work with vertebrates, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But through our research and the research of others, we are establishing this type of organism as a model in neurobiology and pharmacology. Okay, but these planarians they have an additional characteristic that very few animals have. If you're a planarian, okay, here, and you cut its head off, it will regrow it.
Yeah, that
It
was my
will,
favorite part. Like
yes, yeah, it will regrow their heads. They will regrow their heads, and with the correct organization of their nervous system. Okay, it's not just like they regrow it willy-nilly. Imagine if we learn how to do that. People with brain damage from accidents, stroke, Alzheimer, okay, we cannot regenerate nervous systems. I mean, we have a certain degree of regeneration and people can recover from strokes and things like that. But planarians, they are kind of they're actually masters of regeneration.
So the
And
guillotine wouldn't really be a thing that would be would bother them very much.
I agree. And
Marie
that,
Antoinette, I bet, really wished that she had some planarian genes. Like,
well, yeah, let's not go there because I know a couple of people who are working in problems like this.
yeah.
And this is coming at some point. Oh, there's Loani, a friend of ours in the chat. Hello, Loani. Thank you for being here. And our very own Sophia is there, welcoming everyone. Now,
Yay.
how do we go to the planarians on cocaine or nicotine to the book? That got me into thinking. I'm always thinking. Actually, I can tell you only 3 times in my life when I have not been thinking at all, where my mind went completely blank. It's the times when I met my 3 children for the first time. Really. I can honestly tell you, I looked at those babies, not at the same time because Vanessa is 30, don't tell anyone. Reynaldo is 24, almost 24, and Andy's 20. But when I saw those babies, like my mind went completely blank as if I'm responsible for that. You know, but other than that, I'm always thinking.
Being on
Okay.
the other side of that, like having a kid, like being the incubator and then producer of the child, my first thought was literally, I will love you, but I really need some macaroni and cheese. All I wanted to do
I
was
know.
eat.
Yeah,
And then when I saw her, then my mind went blank. But like I just needed food.
yeah. I cannot even begin to imagine that. Okay, so I won't even try. Oh, I want to say hello to Mr. Peter Codron, who is one of my endorsers. He's a best-selling, international best-selling author, science fiction, and one of my writing buddies since forever. And my very own daughter, Giselle Vanessa Pagan, is in the chat. So love you, my baby girl. Steve from Ottawa, and let me hi, Steve. And Kimber from my own lab. Woohoo! So okay, I'll stop there because I won't tell you
No,
the
you are.
story.
This is your day. You
Yeah,
have all the
I know.
fun. You deserve
But
all of this. You have worked so hard, and this
yeah,
is so
no, but
good.
thank you.
This is
But
your party.
and I appreciate it
I
absolutely.
should have sent you a hat, like a little party hat.
Yeah, I have something there, but I will not wear. Anyway, so thinking about animals on drugs is a natural extension about working with planarians. And I kept thinking about many things. Of course, I knew about the legends of how coffee was discovered, that
Mhm.
bees can get
With the
drunk,
goats,
but
right? The dancing goats.
with
Yeah.
the dancing goats. Yeah. And once I began actually researching the book for real, I learned so many things about animals that I wouldn't even think that they could be amenable to intoxication. So that's the with me. There's no very short stories. I elaborate.
And this is why we're friends. So, um, so now that we've talked about your research with these flatworms, with their magic ability of being able to get their heads essentially decapitated and being able to regrow, um, the question that I've had on my mind since the second I picked up this book and knowing that your whole background is in planarians and yes, in cocaine, um, if you were to take a flatworm who was addicted to, it could be nicotine, it could be cocaine, it could be literally anything, could be a smartphone, and you were to chop off its head and you were to regrow 2 new planarians, right? Because like it can regrow the head and the body, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So you now have 2 planarians. Would each of them still suffer from the same addiction?
Actually, that's a very important question that some people are actually researching right now. Okay, so I cannot tell you that for a fact. I have a
Okay.
hunch that that will be the case. But I
Yeah.
can tell you this. I can tell you this. If you train a planarian to avoid light,
Hmm.
okay, or avoid an electrical shock, okay, just like you would do on any other animal, then you will chop its head off and you put the head away. By the way, the head will not die. They will keep swimming. The body will not die.
That's just so
When
cool.
yes, they are. And if when the body regenerates its head, they retain some memories of the training. They retain, yeah, the tail remembers.
This freaks me out.
Yes, and these were some experiments in the 60s where they began doing that, but they were criticized because of, well, technical matters and whatnot.
Sure.
But more recently, some scientists that I actually know personally, I know they are doing things right. Okay, have replicated these type of experiments in an automated way with computers, eliminating bias and whatnot, and it is true. I mean, it's this seems to be a real effect. So they are an endless source of fascination. You
I
might
bet.
say that the fascination regenerates every single
Oh
time.
my God. That is just wild to me. I wouldn't be surprised. I think I would be more surprised if they weren't. But there's this thing with butterflies that like this trainer. So my background is in dog training and animal behavior and training.
Yes.
And with butterflies in particular, when you take a caterpillar, this famous trainer, Ken Ramirez, was hired by some university for their graduation to take these butterflies and have them fly 3 different color butterflies to 3 different parts of the stadium. In order to do that, though, you only have a 2-week opportunity with these butterflies or else they die. So you have to do all of their training while they're caterpillars. While they are caterpillars, they do all the training and they go to their targeted color. Great. They go into the cocoon where they turn to mush, reconfigure, become winged animals, and then go out into the world after this huge metamorphosis that we all know about.
Mhm.
The butterflies were able to do that and go to that specific color, and which makes me realize they remember turning to goo and reconfiguring their body. It's wild what animals can do, especially these regenerating and metamorphosizing animals. And you can learn so much by how they learn and what they can reproduce after some sort of major trauma or major change. So I'd be more surprised if they didn't retain that addiction.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think that it would be fascinating science regardless.
Absolutely. And in the case of the butterflies that you just described, you said it perfectly. They turn into goo because it's not like they retain their brains in metamorphosis and they rebuild their bodies. No, it's a soup of chemicals there,
Yes.
essentially. Yeah, no, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's like you get like like a caterpillar
Yeah,
lard of butter and then they basically melt. They
yeah.
reform into this beautiful butterfly. It's
I'm gonna
fascinating.
go. I'm gonna go to a squirrel moment. I
Please
want to
do.
say hello to Dr. Eric Sweet. He's one of my friends and colleagues in my department.
Hey, Eric.
And and my brother Eddie Reyes, Net Cacique. Eddie and I have known each other for the better part of almost 40 years. We were college classmates. We were freshmen to get together at the University of Puerto Rico. So hi Eddie, hi Kaori, and hi Alex. That's his family.
Aw. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
It is.
Going back to I'm gonna just keep bringing it back to cocaine. It seems like the topic at
Yeah.
hand. Before we started today, I noticed that you had a tattoo. I have several tattoos. I'm very excited, and I'm pretty sure that had you talked to Live Science and the BBC and like all of these other really cool outfits, they didn't ask you about the tattoo. So I'm going to. Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. Let me see if I can show it here. Okay. Yep. This
It looks like
compound.
chemistry.
I,
It looks
I
like
know.
something I would have had to memorize in chemistry class,
Oh no
but
no 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 no. I've shown it to chemists. Many chemists don't even know it, so don't worry about it. That compound is called Parthenolite, and it's a component of a plant called feverfew. Okay. They use it as a folk remedy for migraines, inflammation, conditions like that. A long time ago in a place far, far away, I worked with several similar compounds, okay, that I described for my master's thesis that they interacted with local anesthetics. Okay, let's
Okay.
put a pin on that for a second. Cocaine is an example of a local anesthetic. It's the prototypical example of a local anesthetic. Okay, so let's put a pin on that. So I went for my PhD. By the way, I did it at 35. So I'm a non-traditional student. I got my bachelor's work, got my master's work, and at 35. So any non-traditional students there, you can do it. Oh, Dr. Megan Fork from my department. Hi, Megan. So why am I waving?
You're very excited. That's why.
I
And
am.
you
I
should
am.
be.
I am very excited. So uh, I did my PhD, and when I came to Westchester University, I needed an animal model. My chosen animal model were the planarians, but I had established in my master's and in my PhD that parthenolite interacted with cocaine in what we call in vitro or ex vivo, meaning not in the animal.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so I hypothesized that parthenolite was going to be a behavioral antagonist of cocaine, meaning that we can give cocaine to the worms in
Okay.
planarians. We can make them addicted to planarian, or we can try to induce acute toxicity, like mimicking overdose
Yeah.
with the planarians. And parthenolite will rescue that. It did happen.
So is this like how we would hear about Narcan being used in overdoses, but this is for cocaine in
For
these
cocaine
words?
in flatworms, and it works on rats too.
Really?
Yes. So actually, one of my coworkers that is here right now, Dr. Sweet, and I are collaborating, beginning to collaborate in that effort. So it did work. We published several papers. It seems to be specific against cocaine. Oh, by the way, I don't store cocaine in my laboratory. Okay. The cocaine is at the university under lock and key, like padded. So I want to put that
You
out there.
you don't just like have a bag of it in your
Yeah.
lunchbox.
No, yeah, I promise, not. So it worked. It's specific against cocaine, and we established several biochemical properties that describe the parts of the molecule that are the business end of the molecule. Well, and we are continuing now about the tattoo. My very own Giselle Vanessa Pagan, my daughter, she wanted to get a tattoo, and she wanted me to go with her as a dad and daughter.
It's a bonding experience. You get to hang out
Exactly.
with.
But I was originally going to accompany her. Okay, I've been thinking, about that for a while, and then Vanessa actually asked me, "Well, why don't you get one too?" And I thought about it, and okay.
When did she ask you? Were you guys at the parlor or was
No,
it like?
no, 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 no. Well, no, it was like a few days before. A few
Okay,
days before.
good, because they don't usually have flash of like
Yeah.
these
No, no,
obscure
no, no, no,
like
no. This
chemical
was
compounds.
planned. This was planned.
Okay, good.
But I realized that I started thinking about what would I put on myself.
Yeah.
Okay, and parthenolite means a lot to me. I've written a bunch of papers. Part of my first book was about parthenolite, so that's what I did.
Well done.
Here's the kicker. That was a couple of years ago. I'm 56 right now. That was at 54.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my mom was mad at me. It still kind of is, because I got a tattoo. For the longest time, and if Mama is watching, because I sent the link to my brothers and my niece. So Mama, Mama, Mommy.
Mama, tattoos are great. They're fun.
Yeah, but she's cooled down. She's cooled down about that.
She hasn't shown you her full sleeve yet. That's why.
No, not yet.
She'll show
But
you at
that's
Thanksgiving.
the point is that I was a 54-year-old man with a grown up kid. That was cute. That
is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, my dad took my 18-year-old sister at the time to go get her first tattoo. And she got, speaking of butterflies, a giant butterfly, because, 18-year-old girl, that's what we do, I guess. And so she got this big butterfly on her back. And I had come home from college. I was 21. And I had gotten a tattoo It was right after September 11th. Actually, I got it to after that, and it's on my back, and it's not small. And my dad, who had taken my sister to go get her tattoo, saw me with a back tattoo and lost his mind. So like, I was just like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel fair. Like,
Yeah.
he was like, well, I went with her. Like, I was in Ohio. Like,
Yeah. Well, you never know how we parents are going to react. I mean, I don't know. Oh, and when we were there, I was having a lot of fun. But Vanessa's tattoo hurt like heck.
oh,
and
yeah.
I taped her swearing and everything. She knows this, but back to drugs and
Yes,
stuff.
let's get off of tattoos and back to the drugs, back to the cocaine where we should go. So I think one thing we were going to try to do was try to do a giveaway. And we were shooting around a couple of ideas. I was shooting around maybe some really ridiculous ones, but I don't know if you had any better ideas. I can't see the YouTube side. I'm only on the StreamYard side.
Mhm.
So One or Sophia might be able to choose. But how about we do, if Sophia has that randomizer, maybe we could do a randomizer, or we could do
Okay.
something else.
What do you think, Sophia? Just nod or whatever. Oh, before while Sophia figured this
She
out,
said, okay.
yeah, okay. I want to
Oh,
say hello to Dr. Sai Gart. He's one of my friends, and thank you for being here. And say hello to Aniko. Yeah.
all right. Sophia said she'll check it out. So we will do the first giveaway here shortly.
Okay.
While
Should
we're
I?
doing,
Oh, go
pardon?
ahead. No,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Sorry.
So one of the more interesting animals that I remember reading about in this book, of course, were the stoned dolphins with the pufferfish. It's in the title. I kind of feel like we should talk about it. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
um, and as I was reading, it's one of the not to spoil the ending, but it's one of the last animals that you bring up. So the whole time I'm reading the book, I'm like, but where are the stoned dolphins? Like, did I miss it? So can you talk a little bit about how you learned about these dolphins, what it is that they do, and how they use pufferfish to get high?
Okay. So very quickly, I want to say hello to Aniko, Dr. Garte's wife, and to Maggie, my own Maggie from my own lab. So paradoxically, that's the part of well, let's put it this way. That story has not. Oh, I hear some feedback. Is it on my side?
Oh, I don't hear it.
Okay. Okay. Now it's gone.
Oh,
It's gone.
good.
It's probably a poltergeist or
It's
something.
it's definitely a haunted office.
Probably. Don't say that. There's no one else. Okay, but that joke aside. So that part of the story of the stone dolphins has not been studied scientifically yet. But here's a story. A few years back, a documentary crew was filming dolphins underwater, a pod of dolphins, and they noticed that they were passing around a pufferfish. Now, a pufferfish is this, if you remember Finding Nemo,
Yes.
that they will go like with spikes and everything. And from SpongeBob SquarePants, well, there's a bunch. Those type of fish are famous for being highly toxic. All right, they produce a specific toxin called tetrodotoxin, and it's a really nasty toxin. Okay, no known antidote. It causes death by paralysis of nervous systems, all these type of things.
Oh my God.
But those dolphins were not eating the pufferfish, but they were nibbling on it. Okay, they kept it alive, and they were passing it to each other. Okay, as if they were passing something.
Like
Yes.
puff puff pass. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
just
something like that. Okay,
sending it. Yeah.
so and as anecdotally, the filmmakers and other people seem to observe that the dolphins seem mellower. Okay, but then again, I don't even know what I'm thinking most of the time, let alone what a dolphin is thinking. Okay, so but it's no so far fetched because we have to start from the perspective that the nervous system of dolphins will be will be similar to ours. Okay,
Yes.
and it stands to reason that even if uh, they can find cocaine or nicotine in underwater, they may
Right.
find something else.
Yeah.
Also, they are much bigger animals, and they may be able to resist tetrodotoxin better than us.
Hmm.
Also, in humans, tetrodotoxin is known to cause psychoactive effects. Okay,
Oh,
they want,
really?
yeah, it won't get you high or something, anything like that, but there's some psychoactive effects. Uh, the
Hmm.
people who enjoy eating pufferfish, and Loani reminded me, the name is fugu. It's like a delicacy in parts of Japan. They love the tingling sensation that it causes when it touches their lips and tongue.
Huh.
The very same sensation that you begin to feel when you go to the dentist and they put local anesthetics. It happens to
Oh.
interact with the same type of channels that local anesthetics interact with. The thing
Huh.
about it is that in high amounts, local anesthetics can kill you. So
Well,
in high
yeah.
amounts, tetrodotoxin can kill you. So I'm sure there's going to be people thinking about this and trying to study dolphin neurochemistry and neurobiology.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure somebody's thinking about that, and I would love to see what they find.
I am very curious to see where that goes because, like, I mean, you've got the startle response of the pufferfish, and then you've got these dolphins who are pretending that they're like an Olympic beach
Yep.
volleyball and just passing it around.
Oh,
Um,
hello to my friends at Weird Biology. Hi, Sean.
aw,
Okay. Yeah.
fantastic. Um, so let's see. Um, we do have some other questions. I'm not sure if there are any in the chat on your side there, One, that you can see from YouTube. I'm not seeing anything over here.
No,
But if
I don't see
anybody has
questions.
questions, you can go ahead and you can just drop it in the chat. We are taking questions throughout today. If you have any
Mhm.
comments, this is a family friendly show, so just kind of keep that in
Yes. Yep.
mind. There is a 9-year-old right there.
Yeah.
Um, um,
Would you like to hear a selection of the book?
I would love to. While people are getting
Okay.
their thoughts together,
Yeah,
why don't you
exactly. Well, we get this organized. So,
Yay.
uh, again, thank you. This is the book, and I have selected 4 short dish selections, and the one that I want to start with deals with a couple of organisms that I'm very acquainted with. They're not planarians, and we don't have grandchildren yet, but I do have 2 grandcats. Okay, they belong to our daughter, Giselle Vanessa, and the cats are actually pictured in the book.
I
If you,
loved seeing just going back to this, like seeing some of
yeah,
the pictures of like that were very personal to you to put into this book.
yes,
It was not yes, there was some clinical stuff in there, but it was really for somebody like me who did not study science, who did not like have to like doesn't have a degree in advanced science. And the footnotes were amazing, and like the little anecdotes, especially of where I think you're going with this with these 2 cats.
no,
It's all
yeah,
very personal and it's also very personable. So I think for anybody who's here who's like, well, I'm not really like I might not be able to follow. I don't know how chemistry occurs. Like this
yeah,
is
and
going to
that's
be very
perfectly
readable and
fine.
very digestible.
And thank you for your kind words. And I personally think that anybody and everybody can learn science. Okay, and I this is something that I do in my lectures every time. Girls, women can do math, they can do science.
You
Okay,
can.
and girls out there, don't let any bad person tell you otherwise. I was going to say something, but I remember that a little girl is there.
Oh, it's
Uh, uh,
nothing. She
so
hasn't heard from her mama, but I don't know who
I
else is in
know,
other
but
rooms. So
still. So I happen to be married to a very talented medical laboratory scientist. interest. Okay, so and Lisa will be smarter than I'll ever be, and she knows this. She reminds me of that, and she likes telling me that you're so smart for certain things. But anyway, I'm gonna read you a selection of the book. It begins on page 222, and it's titled "Chilling or Not with Some Cats." A relatively common psychoactive substance that affects animals, and one which you are likely to be familiar, is catnip. Nepeta cataria is a plant found the world over, and it was used in traditional medicine as an antipyretic, means anti-fever, a remedy in Europe for millennia. The main active component of catnip is nepeta-lactone, which is currently being investigated as a mosquito repellent, of all things, as an antimicrobial, and as analgesic, among many other applications of interest to humans. And by the way, there's a structure of the compound. I happen to love structures, and it's right there. That's catnip. I mean, the active.
You need to get that on your other arm.
Well, let's see. Let's see what my mom says. But
Right.
okay, of interest to humans. However, the best known targets, quote unquote, of catnip in general and the beta-lactone in particular are cats, big and small. Despite the aforementioned medicinal effects of the beta-lactone, as far as we know, cats actively pursue and consume catnip for pure pleasure. I have two grandcats. Their loving human is my daughter, Giselle Vanessa, who is very much loved herself. Her first cat was Elune, and in a footnote, his name means gift from heaven in the native language of the Taino Indians of native Puerto Ricans in the island. Elune is a lovely, affectionate, white and black male who nonetheless looks permanently pissed off thanks to a natural expression that gives the dearly departed grumpy cat a run for his money. A few months after Elune, Vanessa adopted Elara, which is a character in Greek mythology, and the name of one of Jupiter's moons. So Elara is a sweet-looking calico cat. Alas, she is much, and I mean much grumpier than Elune. Her vet, Elara's, not Vanessa's, told Vanessa that that the demeanor of calico females tends to be on the grumpy side in general, but as a dog person myself, I wouldn't know. Here comes the interesting part. The behavior of my grandcats on catnip is a perfect illustration of one of the principles we mentioned in chapter 2, namely that with any psychoactive drug, the effect of a subject's behavior and has a lot to do with why am I trying to speak? I can read it. Sorry. Well,
You have notes.
yeah, I have notes. Has a lot to do with things like the subject's sex and or their specific genetic makeup. For example, upon being exposed to a catnip containing toy, this is Elune, okay, displays typical, quote unquote, high as kite behaviors. He gazes intently at the ceiling, looking very peaceful, and softly meows from time to time as if immersed in deep philosophical thoughts. Here's an impression of Elune. Meow. Meow. Okay, that's Elune. In contrast, when Elara gets a hold of the same toy, she goes absolutely ballistic. She runs around Vanessa's apartment as if fleeing from an unseen yet obviously terrifying enemy. I'm not going to mimic Elara's running, but that's one of the things about pharmacology. The same drug can affect two different individuals of the same species differently. And that's the story of my two grandcats.
And it's so fascinating too, because like I work in behavior, in animal behavior. And so when I'm working with clients who I refer to veterinarians to maybe seek medicinal assistance in their animal's behavior, um, sometimes I have to have that conversation of, well, this one drug might not work for your pet, but it might. And if
Mhm.
it doesn't, that doesn't mean that your dog isn't or cat is not going to respond to medicine. It's just that that particular compound is not going to work for your particular pet, and that there are other options out there. And that it's really important also for humans, human psychology, psychiatry, um, even pain management, that there's so many different ways that medication can affect us and other animals, whether it's medicinal or recreational, that might be off of the bell curve for
Yeah,
some individuals. And that's really important to keep in mind.
yeah, you are absolutely right.
Yep. Except for that one dolphin who took a bite out of that puffer fish and really went zooming around.
Yeah, I hear you, but let's see what happens there.
So we do have a couple of questions here from the
Okay.
chat. So Peter Crawdon, can you tell us more about Santa and his reindeer? And I actually had a Bewilderbeast episode on that, so I have some things to say, but I want to have you speak to this as well.
Okay, so this is certainly a legendary idea, and it has to do with psychoactive fungi. All right. So the Christmas colors, as it were, are, well, like red, green, things like that, and of course speckled with white. Okay, that just so happens to be more or less the same combination of colors of a species of psychoactive fungi called Amanita muscaria. Okay, so
I was just
and
Googling it to make sure that I had the right one, but that was correct. Yes.
yes, yeah. So that's the kind of the sciencey part of it. Now the sheer speculation part. Okay, some people propose, this is not my idea. I read it somewhere and it was too good to leave it outside of the book. Okay, some people propose that well, we have to think that the Santa Claus legend originates in the northern parts of where there's caribou, reindeer, animals like that. The main idea is that people in those latitudes, they ingested fungi like that. Okay, they began hallucinating, and I would say that a very good hallucination would be a guy not unlike me with a big beard, maybe a lot more hair, flying up in the air, carried by a reindeer. Okay, so that's kind of, some people have proposed that, maybe I suspect a little tongue-in-cheeky in a way, but again, it's fun to speculate.
It's
And
super fun to speculate, and especially
yes,
when you
yeah,
think about, like, what else are you gonna do up there in the cold? Like,
yeah,
this is before we had Twitter. This is before we
absolutely,
had,
absolutely,
uh,
uh,
penicillin. So, this
yeah,
is, like, old-timey times
yeah,
where people would go out and they would dry mushrooms for the winter and try to hold on to these, anything that they could to store, and then if you just had a couple of fun ones just before the solstice, you might see reindeer fly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the other question we have is weird biology. Love the handle. Didn't the US government try to use LSD to teach dolphins to speak? I will say that the US government has used LSD for a lot of things, including trying to get the military to use their minds to stop the hearts of goats.
Yeah.
There is a whole movie on that, and that they have used medication or psychoactive drugs for a lot of things. I don't know about the dolphins to speak, though. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, kind of. Okay. So the research in question was performed by Dr. John Lilly. He was a physician who specialized in neurology and psychiatry. And despite the the out of the park research about the dolphins and everything, he began his career as a traditional neuroscientist. Okay. He was very interested not only in animal behavior, but on the function of the brain itself. Okay, so he correctly reasoned that dolphins, by virtue of having a relatively well-developed brain, actually their brains is huge, bigger compared to ours. Their bodies are bigger too, but that's the beside the question. Uh, that's part of the question, but you know what I mean. Dolphins are also very intelligent animals. They live in societies. A misconception about dolphins is that they are very nice and very gentle. No, some dolphins are all real jerks. So that's one thing that we need to understand. But they are social animals. So he proposed the idea of giving LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide. It's one of the, par excellence psychoactive chemicals, in order to try to learn, not precisely to speak, but for communicating with humans. Okay, that's one thing. As an interesting aside, his research got the attention of the astrobiology community. Okay, he was
Oh.
invited to the very first SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence conference in the 1960s. That's a very famous meeting. And he was the only kind of biologist. No, actually, no, that's not true. The person who discovered photosynthesis was also invited there. And they told him about the Nobel Prize that he won for photosynthesis in the meeting. I love the history of science, but and I tend to digress. So anyway, John Lilly was there because the organizers of the conference, well, they reasoned again correctly that if we have any hope of communicating with anything out there, we should learn how to communicate with things in here on the planet.
Stands
And
to reason.
yeah, to this date, we don't know how dolphins say hello or whatever. Or I mean, we know we can train them.
Mhm.
We know they can get psychosis, for example.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stories about killer whales, which is the biggest type of dolphin, that when they are well in captivity without any freedom or any, they go nuts
Mhm.
essentially, and I suspect that would be true of dolphins. And in fact, there were several instances of cases in John Lilly's research where dolphins got attached to researchers, and when the researcher left, at least one of them seemed to have committed suicide.
I remember this story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just took a big gasp of air and sunk to the bottom of
Yes.
the tank and would not
Yeah.
come back up. Yep.
Yes. So that's it. That's a short story of how dolphins were laced by LSD.
A very short tail.
Yeah. Yeah. He also tried to give elephants LSD, incidentally.
Oh, God.
Same guy. Same guy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I just, at some point when you just keep doing something, um, I do know that in your book you had also talked about these spiders. And people who are here that have heard my show know that I have a phobia of a particular eight-legged creature. But I will say, after having a phobia for 40 years, I've been getting a lot better having doing a show on animals. It really does help to learn about your fear. But also like being in a tiny closet recording where you might have like little
I
eight-legged friends.
know. Yeah, that's right.
But when I got to the part in your book, and this is probably not a side effect that you expected, but then again, like the drug always hits the person a little differently, the individual differently. You got to the part about the spiders with the webs, and one was on marijuana, one was on ecstasy, one was on LSD, and you could see like all the different webbing patterns. These
And Mrs.
spiders.
Ball Scientist drew that picture for me.
That was fantastic. It
Yeah.
was so good. That is the closest to being able to look at spider paraphernalia I have ever gotten in my entire life. Two facts stuck out to me that I don't think I would have been able to read in any other book but yours, because like the amygdala hijack. Like, one was that there is one species of spider that is completely vegetarian. And I feel like I should maybe be friends with that spider.
Yeah.
And too, that it's mostly lady spiders who build the webs and make webbing. I did not know that, and I learned that from your book.
But thank
It
you.
was a little like aside, and it had nothing to do with drugs.
Well,
But
there's no higher praise when a person like you tells me that they learned something because of me. So thank you.
oh,
And
I got
hey,
over
somebody's
a
saying
little bit
hello
of
to
my
you.
fear. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting
That,
better. And in part, a big part because of those
since
two
we are
facts in your book
sharing,
is helping me chip away
oh,
at this lifelong phobia. So thank you.
okay, so since we're sharing, I'm going to share with you a phobia of mine. Okay, Puerto Rico is full of these tiny lizards, the anoles.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I'm terrified of them.
Oh
I
no.
know here that they cannot bite me, they cannot hurt me, they cannot.
Yeah.
But here, I'm terrified of. I'm a very bad Puerto Rican. What can I
Oh,
want to
it's
say?
okay. My friend was in Puerto Rico. I went to visit her. I had my daughter. She was 4. And we went to the backyard to pick some mangoes. And I'm like, hey, what are those little mounds? And she goes, tarantulas. And I just left. I
Oh my!
left my kid. I left my friend.
Oh
I
my!
left. And she was like, what do I do with
I'm
this
not. I
child?
don't
I'm
mean
like,
to
just bring
laugh,
her back safely. I can't be here. I just left.
but I, I think someone is saying hello to you, Melissa. Major Dumperu.
Oh, hello.
Okay. And Sophia put a lizard there. I still like you, Sophia.
Aw. So we have 10 minutes left scheduled. And I know, One, that you said that you would stay late, but I don't know what everybody else's time is like. So we have 3 books to give away. And I think Sophia is helping us on the other side. If we can't get the randomizer to work, I was like, if we could just pick maybe the best YouTube handle name and maybe somebody who's wearing a green article of attire, and then somebody who has a really great tattoo. Like, if somebody
in
else has a tattoo
an
of
appropriate place.
in an appropriate place. Sophia says the random generator works. So, Sophia, is this something that you think you'd be able to pull 3 names out of with the random generator? Otherwise, I'm going to have a lot of fun. Awesome. Okay, she's going to pick 3 from this random generator, and I will read out the names here.
Okay.
The first person, let me get out my notes here, will get a copy of One's first book, The First Brain. And this is about planarians, correct?
Most of it is about planarians. I use planarians as an excuse to explain pharmacology and neuroscience to the general public.
Perfect.
And I'll sign it for the
We
person.
got like a little, look at this like cool little thing. Can you see this, One?
Oh, that is so cool.
What? This is so cool. She's going to hit the little button.
Sophia, you're a genius.
Sophia, you're magic. And you didn't even need to eat any of those magic mushrooms. All right. So we've got Kimber.
Kimber. She's from my lab. I promise that it's not rigged.
So Kimber, what we can do, if you could actually don't write in the chat what your address is.
No.
You can email One. I will give out his email address here in a minute. We're going to do the second drawing.
Yep.
And this is going to be for Strange Survivors. It looks like a Nico Albert.
Yep.
Yay!
I have her address.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And the third. No whammy.
Major Dumperoo.
I know who that is.
Okay.
And you do too. And I will tell you later because I don't think he wants us blowing up his spot. But
okay.
Major Dumperoo.
I will also include magnets of the first brain, the drunk flies, And also, I wanted to let everybody know that if you're interested on signed books, it's impractical to send me books to sign back and forth. But what I can do is that if you told me you bought the book, I can order like book plates
I was
with the
going to say just
design.
like the standard book plates.
Yes, and sign it. That idea, a million years ago, Peter Codron gave it to me. That idea, and I remember that, and that's what I'm going to do. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wait.
so we will actually do a different drawing because Aniko already has the book. So can we send Aniko magnets and then do a drawing for another
Absolutely,
book? Fantastic.
absolutely,
If we
absolutely.
can do one more. And I think, thank you. Sophia, you're awesome.
Yes, she is. Oh, and Sai has done that also about the plates.
Did
Oh,
it go
get
back
out.
to Aniko? Aniko, you just have to get this book again. Wow, what are the chances? All right, let's try again. Oh, wow. This is like watching Wheel of Fortune. I'm having
Yep.
flashbacks to hanging out with my grandma watching Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, just delete the one. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is going to make riveting audio for our bonus episodes.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, yes. Oh, now that you remind me about our episodes, we are going to post, Melissa and I are going to post the audio of this interaction in our respective podcasts. And of course, this will stay up on YouTube. So
it's the internet. It'll live on forever.
yes, it will.
Maggie Rubble. Hooray!
Maggie has the book. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. This has been the funnest part of the evening.
Oh, Kimber gets it again.
Kimber will get it. Yeah.
It looks like Marianne was really close on like 3 of them. Can we just give it to Marianne?
You know what? Why not? Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
let's
do
give it
that,
to Marianne Dexter because she's almost
Marianne,
got it
yes,
like 4
please.
times. We'll give it to Marianne, and
Yeah.
I can get her address. Fantastic.
This was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. What are the chances? Oh, well, I mean, it's a randomizer. Those are the chances. My husband does statistics. He would be like, this is normal. It's it's statistics.
No.
Well, we've got 3 minutes. I think one other question that I wanted to bring up, and I didn't even get to any of the ones that are a little bit more traditional. So if we want to stick around for that, we can. But when my podcast is Bewilder Beasts, and the little logo of it is a little bee, and it's next to a bomb in a flower, and it's based on the Croatian bomb detection bee. And one thing that I was reading about in your book was that these bees can also like seek out narcotics and intoxicants, that they can be trained to do so, and that they can also, like when they do get drunk or high or whatever, when they get back to the hive, they effectively have little bouncer bees outside the hive. And I just thought that was so fascinating. Why is it that bees are have bouncers outside of the hive like a nightclub to keep these other bees from coming in? And can you speak a little bit about that and why that was in your book?
Yeah, before we go into that, I want to say hello to Wura from my lab. So thank you for being here too. And about bees. Again, we can speculate about why bees do this type of thing, but the safest assumption is that it is an evolutionary mechanism that will favor bees who display the behavior of kicking out the drunken ones out of the hive, because the drunken ones, first, they will go inside the hive and do the dance that they do to orient other bees to tell them, oh, the flower is that way. But the drunk ones will tell them that the flower is that way. Okay? And that's kind of the simplest assumption that I can think of, because again, it's for a bee colony that it's
Well,
collecting
they're
food.
eusocial, so they depend on the entire hive.
Exactly. That's
And
what I
so
was
if you
talking about.
have a frat girl going into the hive being like, "It's over there, I
Yes,
think," or maybe it's over
absolutely.
there, like, it's not
Absolutely.
it's gonna hurt the
Yeah.
whole hive.
Yeah. That's yeah. What can I tell you? These are fascinating critters.
Yeah. So the bouncer bees will effectively kick out, the frat girl until she can
Yeah.
make better choices.
Yeah. And there's even videos when they seem to dismember the offenders.
Mhm.
So that's a deterrent right there.
It's a little Game of Thronesy. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, a little Game of
There you
Thronesy.
go.
So yeah, we are at 8 o'clock. I
Yes.
don't know how many other people have questions. We can take questions for the next little bit, or if you guys just want us to keep on talking, I've got nothing else to do. This has
Yeah.
been fun.
Yeah. So there's a question from Loani.
Chemically, do drugs
Yeah.
and alcohol produce the same effect in the brain?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. They do interact with different type of receptors, but the pleasure pathways in the brain are activated by a multiplicity of chemicals. Okay. For example, the dopamine pathway that it's activated by, well, again, by pleasure, can act upon. Ethanol can act upon that. Cocaine, nicotine. Gambling,
Smartphone
physical
addiction.
drug addiction, physical activity with the other sex, all these type of things. Okay, so even it's like a channeling thing in the sense that they may act at different receptor places, but the sensations are channeled to the proper channels again to cause pleasure and eventually addiction, because addiction is very complex. It's not only due to chemicals per se, because again, cell phones can be addictive. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, Venn diagrams exist for a reason. So you have chemical, you have behavioral, you have genetics, you have environment, you have all sorts of things that go into the root of addiction.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
Thanks,
Any
Steve.
other?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, One,
Yeah.
you just had a book party.
Yes. We did. Thanks again, Melissa. Thanks again, Sophia. I have no words, which is rare for me. But thank
Can
you.
attest in all of the best ways. Can confirm.
Yeah.
But you know what, One, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of the people here who know you and those who will know you through your interviews. This is a fascinating book. You're a fascinating person. Your research is really cool. We didn't even get to talking about how you got into studying cocaine and planarians, which is a great story. So if you have a chance, you can listen to One on the Ologies podcast. He was just recently interviewed for BBC and Live Science and all of these wonderful places. So if you Google One R. Pagan, you will find a lot of places where he's spoken about a little bit more of the more conventional things, how we got started, things like that. My hope today was to give you guys a little bit more about One and some of the more interesting stories in his book, and hopefully you guys can go out and get it. I guess Kimber and Aniko do not need to get it again. They've got it 100 times coming out of their ears. But it's a fun read. It's great for the layperson. It's great for the science-minded person. It's really fun. And One, thank you for the opportunity to hang out with you for an hour. This has been great for me. And on behalf of Sophia, I know that she's also really pleased to be here and would also like to extend her congratulations to you and the birth of your new book. So maybe then, since your kids and now your book, you can be peace of mind for one more minute.
But thanks again. God bless you both. God bless everyone, and stay out of trouble, because God knows I never do. So
never. Have a good night.
you too. Bye bye.